What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest episode of the monthly roundtable discussion meeting podcast show. I'm gonna shorten that one day, I swear to God, for Fanboys Anonymous. I am your host, as always, Tony Mango, the owner-operator of fanboysanonymous.com. With me for this roundtable discussion, we have Brandon Liggan.
Yes, you do have Brandon Liggan, who shaved his facial hair into Wolverine sideburns just for this podcast. And that's not
I thought
a
you were
joke.
going to say that you're like shaving downstairs into Wolverine
No.
sideburns.
No, I saw this movie so much, and I went to go shave my facial hair.
That would be more of a commitment.
I was committed. So what happens? You shouldn't get high and do facial hair work.
As you've heard, we also have Michael Burhan.
Yes, I you know that place Bed Bath and Beyond? I'm going to buy it one day so it could be like Bed Bath, Beyond and Burhan. Just for the point of it.
I don't want to go to that
Boo.
section.
I want to boo that joke. File that. I did bad jokes.
As in movie file?
No.
No, that was even worse.
Oh, you're the worst person who ever lived.
And we also have Nikki Mills.
I don't have anything witty or stupid to say, so I'm just going to say hi. What's up?
I like how the first thing's about witty for Liggan's comment, the second one's stupid for Burhan's.
She's only saying that because she thinks I'm awesome.
Yeah, okay, right.
Well, that was a good joke.
Oh,
And possibly in the background, we might have Sam Lassie. Are you with us, Sam?
Sam, say hi. Just yell hi. Did you hear it?
Close enough. Sam's having technical difficulties of sleep right now, so he may be in and out of consciousness and in and out of the podcast. Which, by the way, episode 9 is what we're on right now, and the topic at hand is the Wolverine, both the movie and just kind of generic shit about the character. But more so the movie. We're going to talk about the movie. We all saw that over the past few days.
this is about the Wolverine? Shit, I thought this was about Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh, so
Burhan, you done it again.
You need to stop talking.
You
Well, I
manky English git. What is wrong with you?
Well, Nikki's what's wrong with me?
No comment.
So a little bit of background behind this. Directed by James Mangold, and I have no idea what else he did to kind of go into this. I mean, this was supposed to be directed by Darren Aronofsky, and he left the project for, I guess, scheduling conflicts. I've heard both.
Yeah, he didn't want to be away from his family, apparently.
I've heard that, as well as problems with, like, he wanted it to be like this hard R, and that Marvel and everybody else was just kind of like, no, like, it's not gonna fucking sell that way. But who knows? I'm looking it up right now. James Mangold, he has also directed.
He did Night and Day with Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz, which was a very good movie. Walk the Line, the Johnny Cash story.
Identity, which I actually love. That movie is one of the only horror movies that I actually own. So maybe that's why I actually kind of like this. Kate and Leopold, which Blue.
Yeah, okay, I remember Identity. I didn't know. It's one of those movies that sounded familiar, and then as soon as I hit the IMDb page, I remembered exactly what it was about. Yes, I did like that a lot.
I see.
So,
I remember when he did Kate and Leopold, and they coined it as the love story before Romeo and Juliet.
sure.
Exactly.
The love story before Romeo and Juliet.
Kate and Leopold.
That
That's
supposedly inspired Shakespeare to write, or if you believe what people can write, conspire about that, the people that were William Shakespeare.
No, but dude, Shakespeare plagiarized. He never wrote anything.
Well, no, then you get those people who believe that he wasn't actually one guy; he was a collective of people writing under a pen name,
Well,
kind of
maybe,
like the Onion, but done seriously.
maybe Kate and Leopold was the precursor to the Wolverine, since they both star Hugh Jackman.
No segue.
Oh, God.
Nicely done. I'm gonna pat myself in the back with that one.
You do that, Tony. You do that.
Nobody else will. So I have to do it myself.
I got plenty of treats right here. Trust me. You might not like them, though.
So, directed by James Mangold and written by Mark Baumbach and Scott Frank, two other people that I have no idea, or had no idea at the very least, going into this, what they had done. So, I didn't go into this expecting it to be bad or good, depending on the people involved, other than, Hugh Jackman and all that. But, looking them up, I think I haven't seen anything that they've done either. I mean, Get
Baumbach
Shorty.
did.
That's it.
Baumbach did the Total Recall remake, which wasn't terrible. Scott Frank did Minority Report. He was a writer and second unit director on Minority Report. Did Marley and Me. I mean,
I like that movie.
Yeah, I know that movie definitely makes you feel things. If you don't have a heart, if you don't, have a tingling during Marley and Me.
It also makes you feel.
What kind
things
of
in your penis.
tingling?
A special tingling down in the cockles of in your chest, maybe in the subcockle area.
He's emphasizing on cockles too much.
Yes, it's a part of your chest. Okay, don't look it up.
The first time somebody mentioned Marley and Me to me, and they were like, "It's about a dog," and I was like, "I'm not gonna say it because I know what's gonna happen."
Crying by the end of it, exactly.
They did totally lassie that dog.
Oh my god, it's such. I couldn't watch it. I can't watch it. It's like I watched it once. I'm just like, I miss my dog. I want my dog to die. Yeah, no.
I cried like a bitch too.
Hey man, everyone does it. I also just get really stoned, so it's like I just get one solitary tear that rolls down my face.
You're the Indian.
The Indian that cries. Yeah, I got this during the Wolverine too, ironically.
You know what it is? It's because the rest of his face is just really numb, so just one rolls down.
I have that permanent glassy eye thing to me, and I was sitting down last week talking to my cousin, and one just rolls down my eye, and my cousin goes, "Why are you crying?" I'm like, "No, I'm just really high." Yeah.
You're like, I was thinking of Marley.
I was thinking of Marley and Me, man. Fucking Owen Wilson, man, made me such a good actor.
For a second, I thought he was Luke Wilson.
The better one.
I had to think, did I get him right? I got him right. Yeah, it was Luke. Yeah. Owen Wilson. Yeah.
That was pretty good.
I don't know you guys.
Every fucking film, the same shit.
Yeah.
His
Well,
broken nose.
just gonna be like Jesus Christ, you guys.
And I've got that really funny fucking nose thing going on there.
Wow, we're totally off topic.
Yeah, I was actually going to just start moving back to it.
trying to reel us in, Tony. Try and reel us in.
Speaking of noses,
directed by and written by, but starring, we kind of can't do anything with that because most of these people are from the Japanese side of things, or your whatever the fuck this person's name is, Svetlana Khodchenkova. I don't know.
Sounds like
That's sure. You're taking my best guess at it because I can't even.
Yeah.
Khodchenkova.
let's just have a look here.
Either way, she played the worst character in the whole fucking movie, so I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a debate with you about that one, but we'll go into that.
So that's kind of a little bit of backstory behind this, other than the fact that the story is based off of, obviously, not only the Wolverine character throughout the years, but the precursor to a lot of stuff that has happened in the comics. And they decided instead of doing a prequel, they were going to take this and do a sequel. This takes place, I think it's supposed to be 10 years after X-Men 3, right?
Yes.
And it kind of doesn't seem like it because Hugh Jackman looks exactly the fucking same.
Well, he's got the long hair and the beard, It was an unspecified amount of time, I thought. Did they really actually say? Because he's let his hair grow, and obviously he's living in the woods, coming down for batteries. I love the opening. I love the opening scene. His neighbor's like a bear.
I like that bear. Which, by the way, spoiler alerts to everybody who hasn't seen this movie yet. We are going to talk about things that happen during the movie. So if you haven't, listen to this podcast after you have, because I recommend it. And it's not one of those movies where it's like, well, you're not missing anything, so let's just run it down. I do think that's cool.
I want to know who was the bear. Was it Bart the bear from... I'm about to find that out right now. I'm trying to find out who the bear was.
You mean like actor-wise?
What bear it was, yes, because it was a digital bear.
It was a digital bear.
It was a digital bear?
Yes.
Oh, because I kind of wanted
There was no actual person in a bear suit.
No, I wanted it to be Bart the bear, who was in an episode of Game of Thrones.
No, it wasn't him.
And he got his own title card.
Bart
It was a digital bear.
Bart
It
the
was
bear.
not.
It was such an awesome thing because, serious credit cards, then Bart the bear.
So the beginning of the movie, we're not going to run down the whole movie. We're going to jump around and all that. But the beginning of the movie, let's talk about that a little bit because that really, that kind of set the tone, I think, really well. When out of all the things that happen, Wolverine's found himself befriending a bear that, funny enough, just takes a piss. It's like, let's just have the bear piss scene and film that. And the hunters come by from around the area. They poison the bear goes crazy, kills them, so they essentially go to kill the bear. And it's up to Wolverine to kind of put it out of his misery. I actually really liked that. What did you guys think?
Yeah, I love that whole scene. It set up, how he's, renounced killing since the events of the last movie, and how he's still, troubled by having to kill Jean. And he felt he was really wrestling with does he go back to that life or not? And he had a very touching, emotional scene with a puppet, basically. I mean, there's very few actors that could do that.
It was very immersive. I think they had it down to a T how Logan was, basically. The fact that he was totally depressed after killing the love of his life. He couldn't get over it. He was just living off the land and just felt like he deserved to be in the position that he was in. So it was a good way of doing it. The tone was excellent. And the dialogue with the bear, of course. The bear... We all knew, though, the funny thing that this bear was going to have something happen to it.
Yes.
Oh, immediately. As soon as the bear took a piss and didn't do anything to him, I'm like, either this bear is going to get fucking shot or he's going to have to kill, like, some neighboring bear and the bear's going to help him and die, or, like, something's fucking happen to this goddamn bear.
Yeah.
What did you think about that, Nikki?
Wait, what? You're glitching out.
The bear scene, the beginning of the movie.
You're glitching out.
I thought... Well, at first I thought it was sad that they killed the fucking bear, obviously. The bear didn't do shit to anybody.
That bear would have raped the village.
I don't know. I thought it was kind of interesting. I thought it was a little melodramatic at first, but then I thought it was kind of cool how, like, he just went in there and just kicked everyone's ass over the bear. Like, it was kind of like a companion, I suppose. I don't know. It was different, but at the same time, I accepted it.
There's going to be a prequel movie to this. It's going to be the Wolverine and the bear. Now that Disney owns the Marvel stuff.
Or it'll be the Marvel one-shot. The bear.
I loved that fucking bear, okay?
It's going to be the new Fox and the Hound.
Wolverine and the bear. Logan and the bear. Yes. Logan and the bear. Marvel one-shot on the Wolverine Blu-ray DVD thing.
Or Arrow in the Back, the bear story.
Oh.
Arrow.
That bear used to be an adventurer, then it took an arrow to the back. Oh, you set me up, sir.
I was waiting for somebody to do it.
Yeah, had to be me.
So that leads us into Yukio comes into the bar and she takes Wolverine to Tokyo and she tells him that the person who we saw in a flashback at the beginning of the movie during World War II when the bomb was dropped on Nagasaki, it was, I think?
Nagasaki, yes.
That Wolverine saved this one soldier's life by throwing him down a well where he didn't get hurt at all. He fell like fucking, I don't know how many feet. And standing over him while the backlash of the bomb kind of seeped away. And he's kind of been owed a life debt, which that in itself is something that I really, really liked a lot, because that's something that's a part of that culture that really, if you're going to do a different story, you got to go like completely fucking different. I hate when they do these kind of storylines and they go like, well, we're going to have, say, Batman in the I don't know, Batman in the medieval times, and then the only difference is he's wearing a different type of armor, and it looks like medieval armor, and the whole rest of the fucking story is the same. It's like, well, then why'd you even bother? You got to do stuff that has to do with that surrounding environment. So them taking this whole Tokyo thing and having seppuku and life debts and all this honor system stuff, to have a character that is built on kind of being, I don't know, yeah, would you classify Wolverine as being like that honorable killer?
He's I always classified as Wolverine sort of as the anti-hero or the reluctant hero. At least, in some of the stories, certainly not the animated series. He was kind of the gruff sidekick. But yeah, he does have some honor to him, because it's like he says, he's always been a soldier his entire life. That's just all he knows. So yes, he has some honor to him.
I think if anything, he's one of those people that you can't depend on unless you have to depend on him.
Yes.
And that's kind of where the honor comes in. Cyclops is kind of a dick. You can depend on Cyclops unless there's something where it's like, Cyc, we really need you. And then he'll kind of be like, meh. He's kind of an asshole like that. But I can't see Wolverine being the leader of any kind of a team.
No. He's always got to be the muscle.
Well,
He doesn't
quite
have the
recently.
patience for it.
Yeah, patience
quite
definitely
recently
the playing
he is.
factor.
Recently, he has done it with the comic books. They've made him more into a mentor and the guy who's kind of realizing that the world's not as black and white. But I think before, yeah, you can say that. You can say that that's the character Wolverine was. He was kind of just the killer. He would just go in there, do his job, be the best at what he did, and that's that. But now his ethos has kind of changed.
You don't think that that's just kind of shoehorned, though, because of his popularity?
No, I think he's gone through rather cosmetic. It's not cosmetic. It's more organic sort of change, and it's a lot to do with people around him who have been dying. He was forced to kill his own son. He did some horrible things to help Cyclops build a better future for the mutant kind, and then saw kids being thrown into the front line. And he had a problem with this. He was like, kids need to be kids. They don't need to be going around killing people. And with the whole Phoenix saga, with everything like that, he lost a lot of people in his life from those that he loved, like his ex-wife and stuff like that, to everybody, So Logan organically has changed into, he's not a pacifist by any means, but he's someone that he'll protect people around him. He understands the sense of family, I think.
Well, we're gonna jump forward as we kind of jumped back a little bit there with the storyline. Wolverine, when he heads over to Tokyo, he's been told that he is going to get the sword back from this person who, later on in the movie, we see them do the whole thing of, here, take my sword, and no, keep it, hold on to it, I'll get it later, that kind of a thing. And it turns out that instead, this guy is looking to give Wolverine the death that he feels like he wants. And in exchange, he'll take away his power, which is immediately, I don't know if you guys thought the same thing, immediately I just thought to myself, you're really not really offering him that much. I mean, it would have been different if it would have been, I can figure out a way to kill you and you're looking for the death and that's it. But then he also kind of threw in that whole, like, plus I'll take your power. I mean,
Yeah, you could tell his obsession with it. It was starting from there where he was becoming a bit desperate. He wanted, this to happen. He wanted to make sure that he got this from Wolverine. I think it was quite clever as well, because when he said it, I stood there and I thought, right, this guy's going to be the antagonist here. He's going to be the lead villain of this movie. But then when it changed, when he apparently died, I was just like, no, something's going to happen. and it didn't. And I'm not going to like spoil anything as yet, but as the film progresses, you still no sign of him. You're sitting there thinking, okay, the word kind of is left lingering, it's left hanging, because you're sitting there thinking, right, why is all this happening? Do you know what I mean?
Well, you never actually saw him die. All you saw was just them take him out of his house. They didn't, cover him like they would a normal body. So, I thought they did that pretty well in that reveal. I mean, and if you knew anything about Wolverine's storyline, you knew that, Yashida was Silver Samurai. I mean,
yeah.
You have to be an idiot not to. And you're certainly not listening to this podcast unless you already knew that.
Right, but when you go into this movie, you kind of see the Shinjin,
Hi.
and he's more so, well, this guy's going to do it. Like they're going to kind of pass the buck into that kind of a thing, and it'll just be him. They made it that whole angry son, and they passed the whole company down to the granddaughter. Like they focused on that enough to where I actually completely forgot about the old man.
Yeah, that was the same thing. It kind of went into a different story. I liked it. I thought, as a story itself, it really, really pushed forward the whole emphasis on the daughter, on Mariko, who's, for those of you guys who don't know, in the comic books, she's the mother of Wolverine's son, Daken, and also the supposed love of his life. Now, I'm not going to go into details about what happened to her in the comics, but he did suffer a great loss from her. So it was nice to have her in this movie to begin with. But in the comic book, she happened very earlier on, whereas in this, they kind of moved her over to like the latter years.
They moved it to fit their movie timeline.
Yeah, and it actually fitted rather well.
Yeah.
The whole story worked. It worked ingeniously. I liked the fact that she was reluctant to seize power. She didn't care about it, but everyone wanted to kill her because of it. Her father, or her own husband, well, her soon-to-be husband, her fiance, she says. Everyone wanted to take it away from her because they felt that she was undeserving of it. It was an awesome way to introduce her, and I love the dynamic between her and Wolverine in there as well. He was trying to be a protector, trying to save her, make sure she didn't lose her life, because he kind of had a thing for her. But she was just reluctant for anything. She didn't really give a shit. Until...
I personally, and I kind of felt this way halfway through the movie, and then I was like, you know what, it's not changing my mind at all. I didn't like their romance at all. That was like the one major flaw in this whole movie, I think, is, I mean, yeah, the comics...
I thought it was a little too rushed, personally. Like, one day she's, like, annoyed by his very existence, and then a second she's wanting to be all up on him.
Yeah, and it made it even worse that throughout the entire film, he's still thinking of Jean. And I know, like, he's supposed to be thinking of Jean because of this great love that he killed and all that. But it's like, he has sex with Mariko, and literally, like, what you have to assume is maybe a couple hours later, maybe even less than that, he looks around at the opposite part of the bed at Mariko, and it's like, oh, Jean, let me have a whole big discussion about the person I really care about. Like, and then it's just kind of, from then on in, it's like this weird, I don't know, like the woman who has a crush on her father's friend or something. Like, it's just, it was really odd.
It was one of those things where I think he was, because they even talked about the fact that he was hung up on her, on Jean, and I think he was kind of letting it cloud his judgment in terms of what he wanted. He didn't really want to let himself get close to people because that, that's when bad things happen, and I think that's really the reason behind it, and not really a pull point, so to speak. And I can understand it was kind of forced in a way, but it's kind of has that same sort of premise of unwilling love story, so to speak. It's happened in a load of action movies and a load of different films where a girl hates the guy is trying to save the girl, and then the girl ends up falling in love with the guy eventually. Look at another film that he directed, Night and Day. Same premise.
Well, I never saw that movie.
It was alright.
It was a good
amazing.
No.
Yeah, it was, and it was funny. I like, Tom Cruise playing a comedy character never usually makes me laugh, but that did.
Yeah, you put Cameron Diaz in a movie, and it really makes me think twice about it.
She didn't talk much. No, she didn't talk much, so that's what kind of sold it for me.
But let's talk about the Jean Grey situation. Love that they got Famke Janssen back, but damn, she must have been pissed. She had about 10 scenes of just laying down at a bed, and that was it.
Well, that's all she really can do. Again, they killed the character off, so, I mean, she's not going to do
They
much.
technically killed the character off. I'm going to say this right now. We're going to probably be seeing her in X-Men Days of Future Past, or probably in a separate X-Men movie after this. I do not believe that she, in any way, shape, or form, is dead. If you go by the comic books, the character Jean, the Phoenix means resurrection. The fact that the character has been resurrected more than fucking once, you know the fact that Jean's going to be back. But there is going to be a whole shitload of problems when she does make her come back. I think the way they did it in here and used her in such a way to show Logan's guilt, because they gave her a tangible form, because of the fact that, Jackman's awesome at invoking emotion. He understands the character better than anybody, probably better than any of us here, in terms of who Wolverine is. But the fact that this guy is hung up on... Yeah, he's like Batman in a sense. There's a running gag going around when everybody says that what Bruce does when he falls in love with a girl, he ends up revealing his secret fucking identity.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Wolverine's pretty much the same fucking thing. He falls in love rather quickly with anything and everything. And then the girl ends up getting killed, and then he feels like fucking remorse about it.
Goes, like,
yeah, he has like 1,000,001 different relationships. And, he's got a stacked room full of women that Logan has basically been with. And it's hilarious sometimes, because at certain points you're sitting there thinking, why is he acting like that? And at other times, you're trying to gain some rationale into why Wolverine is the way he is. And the factoid is, he's just the way the character's been written. And in the comic books, it just seems really insane as well. He's always hung up on somebody. And at this point, though, he does admit that Jean Grey was his first true love, and basically his only love, so to speak. The only person that he actually had this physical or mental bond with, even though she was in love with somebody else.
Which, by the way, what do you guys think about that? I actually hate the idea of Emma Frost and Cyclops together. I think Cyclops and Jean Grey tempted by Wolverine does not get Jean Grey. That's if I do an overall perspective, give Wolverine somebody else, make up a new character, or something along those lines. I don't think the Jean and Wolverine thing makes sense, the same as I don't think Emma Frost and Psyche.
That's the
thing.
I
completely agree.
You don't see the whole reasoning behind it. Cyclops is using Emma Frost because she's a telepath, just like Jean.
No, but I mean in the end game.
Oh, what you mean in the comics in general, or the story? The thing is, if you look at the comics in the way that they have done at the moment, he's never been over Jean either. And after this whole sort of when they got the Phoenix and the Avengers versus X-Men thing happen, Emma Frost is basically friends with benefits with Cyclops. She's not even friends with him. They're two good people that just screw, because of the fact that she has a bit of an emotional attachment to him, and Cyclops is just like, Jean.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes perfect sense to me. I mean, when you boil it all down, and if you were to write like how I've said before, I think if you have somebody who is supposed to be like the main love for Batman, a lot of people think Talia, I think Selena, and if it comes to Jean Grey has to end up with Cyclops.
Yeah, it happened. If you've been a huge X-Men fan like I am, they ultimately got married. You remember he married her clone. They had Cable, Nathan Summers. We end up finding out that Madeline Pryor, who is basically Jean's clone, ends up going freaking psycho, and then she dies, and Jean comes back from the freaking dead. They have their relationship rekindled. They get married. They go forward in time to try and save their son, or Cyclops' son. Then they come, they go
It
through. It
gets fucking convoluted, really.
Yeah, and then she ends up back with the Dark Phoenix again, and then ends up dying, saving everybody's lives, and boom, we're back to ABC again, and that's how the relationship develops. She died being the wife of Cyclops, and being the one for him. Yeah, she had her thing going on with Wolverine, but
it's the animal. You can't resist the animal passion of Logan.
Hey, I couldn't resist Wolverine, man. If he was in this room right now, I'd be banging.
I have Wolverine sideburns. What's up?
Congratulations.
How are you doing?
Nikki swoons.
All day. They all do.
Yeah. I can
put a cigar in my mouth too. So there you go. Yeah.
Nikki can too.
Sometimes a cigar is a cigar, and other times a cigar is a big black dick.
What the hell have you been doing?
That's George Carlin, man. Never heard of him? He was a comedian.
I was just saying, have you been hanging out in prison yards or something?
Yeah, there was no scene in the movie that depicted that.
Well, I know, but
maybe it was a deleted scene. Maybe that's why they didn't get the hard R rating.
Maybe I went to a different movie than you guys.
Wolverine the porno. Yeah, we can see it now. That probably will happen at some point.
That was Wolverine and the big black bear.
Oh my fucking god.
It had to be done.
Oh god.
We're moving on though from that point.
Or could just Wolverine and a big fat, bearded guy. Bear? No? Okay. Moving on.
Try to do it better.
I know.
If I criticize the unnecessary romance and I criticize Jean Grey to an extent, even though I really am glad that they added her in there, it would have sucked if they didn't. He would have just kind of been pining over Jean and she wouldn't have shown up in any capacity.
As I said, they carried on the narrative from a really bad movie and turned the concept of that story into a really good movie.
But there is one thing that made me think, oh my god, this is so fucking stupid in this movie. And that is the character of Viper. I fucking hated this character. She was pointless. This character exists as a doctor that is working on Yoshida. And she can turn into a fucking snake. And she has this, toxic breath and spit and whatever. And she can
stop mutants' powers. I thought that was
weird. Something like that or whatever. And
I don't remember that
she didn't stop the mutant powers. It's the cybernetic fish thingies they inhibited his powers.
I thought it was something with her saliva.
No, she used her body as a way to sort of inject that thing in there. Now, the reason why I think she was a good enemy, Tony, and to play devil's advocate here, was they needed sort of because basically we knew Yoshida wasn't going to be roaming around anytime soon, so they needed someone to hold the sidelines together and keep everything going. Yes, her face looked like a fucking car hit it. I agree with you on that. Yes, she just they're trying to play sex appeal with this character when it's not at all. Really.
My issue with her, she sounded kind of. It was either forced or it was stale, if that makes sense. What?
For all of her lines, you mean just the actress in general?
A little bit of both. The lines felt too forced. She felt too forced, and it wasn't giving enough power. It just kind of she would try to intimidate. It would go up and up, and then just plateau, and it sounded stale and pressed, and I didn't like it.
I agree with you on that. And I think that the whole thing about her character was, I believe she was modeled on an individual named Typhoid Mary, who came from the Daredevil comics. She had psionic powers, but she was also very, like, she could poison someone, basically, with her abilities. And she was a Wolverine. She kind of was an antagonist for Wolverine as well, you know. And I believe this character was modeled off of her in a sense, but was taken to the next level where basically she had all these toxins and stuff in her body, to the point where she could just kill you just by kissing you, you know. And I totally agree with Nikki. She tried to be powerful, but her body language, the way she acted, the way that she was in her scenes, she didn't necessarily steal the show. She just seemed as like another henchman, if that makes sense. If you put her in the background, she wouldn't have mattered as much. I felt that they gave her a bit too much screen time. I hate, actors, you can never give them too much screen time, but I think they gave her a bit too much screen time because they were desperate for someone to be running around the background, pulling the strings, but we never knew why.
Well, these are the problems that I have with her. More so twofold than anything else. One, I agree with the acting. Crap. Yeah, I'm certainly not the best actor in the world, but she felt and looked and carried herself like she was like a failed TV actress or something. Like, she would have been a perfect example of some shitty villain for one episode of Smallville than for a focal point of a pretty big movie.
So I'm also pretty sure this is her first movie that she ever did in English. She was in Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, but from what I remember of their character was she didn't really talk much. It was more just images. And then they shot her in the head.
They should have done that very early on in this movie.
So I understand how you could feel that way. So, English is clearly not her natural acting language.
She's, again, as I said, she's not the best character actor out there. I think she was probably chosen mostly because of her looks than anything else.
Yeah,
I thought the concept of her was cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, the concept of her, she'd be pretty fucking badass. It's just bad acting.
Well, the concept with her is something else that bothered me, too, because I would have been perfectly fine with the whole toxin thing, but why is she turning into a fucking snake? Like, she rips her face off, and she's, like, shedding, and she's got that weird fucking tongue, and, like, that to me was, like they decided that they needed at least one more true mutant in the movie, and they had Yukio, who had kind of like precog powers.
By the way, it's Yuriko.
Yuriko? Did I say Yukio?
Yeah.
Whatever it is. Fukushima is the actress's name. She had the precog powers, but when you look at that, you can't really sell that as a movie like you can by showing fucking Snake Woman. Like, it's that kind of that cheesy factor of, well, Wolverine's got these claws. You have him pop the claws out. Any person that's watching this movie trailer knows exactly that he's some fucking dude with claws and all that. And if you have that character and she's like, oh, I can see the future. Oh, well, no, you're just an Asian girl. Like, that's no special kind of separation. But then you have, and there's Snake Woman on this movie. Then there's these B-movie people that would like the movie or whatever, and these people that would go to see it because they're like, oh, snake people. Like, it just seemed like this weird fucking choice in my mind. Like, if they would have just had a normal character that was a doctor and knew toxic stuff because she was toxic, I'd have had no problem with that, and except for the fact that she was just a bad actress.
I think as well, the fact is, her role could have been taken up by anybody. There were more powerful women actresses out there that could actually conveyed her character as well, which made her rather irrelevant. And that's the problem. When you take something that it was written on paper as a small role, and try to make it bigger to flesh out the story, it makes things a little too complicated in terms of what you're doing. With her character, so to speak, it could have worked, it would have worked, but in the end, she just seemed like a female Toad.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy.
I feel like if the concept of the Viper, whatever the fuck she was, a Viper, half Viper, want to be Viper, I don't care. The concept of it was cool, and if they just put it in a different perspective with a different actress, the fact is she could have been fucking Medusa. I don't care. I thought the concept would be cool, but they just it was just one slight mistake that completely made it sour for me. Now, and that was the actor.
Now, in the graphic novel that this is based on, isn't that role kind of played by Madam Viper? For those that are familiar?
Again, because I would say she's more closer to Typhoid Mary.
Not Madam Viper, Madam Hydra?
Not really, because she's not mutant.
No, but isn't that whole, the woman watching after and kind of manipulating the scenes? Isn't that kind of... I don't remember correctly. I vaguely...
if you're talking about Hydra, then yes.
Yeah, Madam Hydra, that's what I meant.
Yeah. But in terms of mutants, there's a lot more... There was like 1.5 million different mutants you could have put in that role. Mystique's another one that could have done it rather easily. You don't have to manipulate Wolverine as such. He could have even had that whole thing where he's kissing Jean Grey, and next minute, bam, you've got like someone's morphing in, like you have someone with the power of shape-shifting, or you have someone with telekinesis that could have easily just manipulated him as well. You did need her in that role, but I believe the majority of having her in that was just because of the fact that they didn't want to reveal the main villain till later. That's what it was. But you still had this ongoing story between the father, Mariko's husband, and all these other individuals that were in it. You had this other guy, I believe he was from the Fast and Furious movies. Am I right?
Who?
The dude with the arrows. I forgot what his name was. He was Mariko's like ex-boyfriend.
Harada, or
yeah, but he was played by the guy who was in the Fast and Furious movies. He was in Tokyo Drift, I believe, and all the other ones like
Japanese guy in Tokyo Drift. You don't say.
Yeah.
Harada, yeah, Will-Yun Lee.
Yeah, that's it, Will-Yun Lee.
He was also in Ultra too.
But he's literally, I thought it was actually quite funny as well. They mirrored the clan in that, the black, what were they called, the black clan.
Mm-hmm.
They mirrored these guys in the Black Hand, which were Daredevil characters. That's why I was actually looking at Viper, and when I looked at her, it actually reminded me of Typhoid Mary rather than Madam Hydra, who was also named Viper. So from there, it started to come together. Like, okay, they've taken elements of Daredevil and used this in this movie.
I could see
that.
But
they had to change some character names, like the Black Clan, because if they said Black Hand, the character and his rights have gone back to Marvel, so they can't use that in this, and hence the whole taking those, changing a few little bits and pieces. But it really, it's looked more like a story that would have been more suited to Daredevil in that sense, because they had all these ninjas running around. And I could just see, like, we need loads of ninjas. What are we going to call them?
The Foot Clan.
They're on the Black Hand. Oh, we can't do that because Daredevil's gone back to them. How about we call the Black Clan? Yeah, that will work. No one's going to realise.
That's generic enough.
Yeah. So hence that's happened. But I can see what they did, and it's fine. Again, it worked. But he could have been a main character there. He could have played his role from the get-go. She didn't need to be there. They just added her there because they needed a bit of tits and ass for people to go, my God, I would bang that. And hence the reason why I don't feel she knew her character as well. if you're going to go into the whole Meisner thing and how you're supposed to encompass your character and understand your character and build your character story, she had no fucking clue. She was just spouting lines.
Well, out of the big things in the movie that I didn't like, those were the main things. Before we start getting into, like, dragging down, like, positives and everything like that, is there anything else that people saw as, like, a glaring flaw in the movie?
Yeah, there was there was one thing that actually made me laugh, and I was having this discussion with Jeff Croup today about this as well, because he was going like, he's got bone claws. How comes Magneto was able to make him sort of stay still and all? And I was just laughing. I was like, he's still got the adamantium in his body. He's just the top of the claws are gone, and when he regenerated, there were bone claws. My issue with this was, in the Marvel Universe sense, it didn't make sense, but as the film in general, as a separate entity, it made sense. It kind of bothered me a little bit. I'm not a fan of the bone claws. I don't like bone claws. I think Wolverine with the bone claws looks really silly in comparison to him with the adamantium, but that's my thing. Apart from that, the movie did its thing. It was really well done. But we can save the whole, overall retrospective on that later.
He didn't have the normal claws back at the end? I thought he did.
No, that's just bone.
There were the bone claws at the end?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But his whole body is laced with adamantium still. The thing is, behind the bone claws, if we want to go into detail with it, in the comic books, Wolverine had his adamantium in his body ripped out by Magneto, which nearly destroyed his body and turned him feral. To the point where apparently there was something with the adamantium that was keeping him in check from devolving into this animalistic creature, and then something happens and he ends up getting back to normal and fighting it, and then eventually gets his adamantium claws and everything back when Apocalypse grabs him and turns him into Death, one of his horsemen. So there you go. Bit of story there from comics.
See, I thought that he had it. I mean, that it happens kind of so fast that you're too busy looking at the other stuff. I thought that he had it back.
You can't grab back the adamantium claws, and they showed that he had, the bone claw still.
I just kind of figured that we're kind of jumping to that. They say it's a 2-year gap. I figured maybe because if I did not pay attention to the fact that it was still bone claws, I just kind of went, oh, in the 2 years, then that, something happened. Well,
let me ask you guys a question. Do you know who Yuriko Makishima is?
Who?
I don't mean just the character in the movie, the one who was running around, who was protecting him, and who could visualize people's deaths. Do you know who she
I vaguely remember the character from the animated series, but I can't remember much about it. I know there was like some sort of history between the two of them.
She was the sister of Mariko.
The adopted sister, yes.
Yeah. And also she was Wolverine's lover at one point as well.
Yeah, I knew they had a history because there was... I remember from the animated series...
She saw Wolverine kill her sister, but it wasn't him. If we want to go into the whole details about it. Apparently, some say it was Sabretooth. It was later revealed that it was a different individual who was controlling Wolverine's life from the get-go. I can't remember what his name was. I'm going to Wikipedia that and get a hold of that guy's name. But she then later got her body transformed, combined with like technology and stuff, and became Lady Deathstrike. And,
yes.
Yeah, with her and the Reavers, and they went after him and tried to like basically do everything they could to kill him. Her body was laced with adamantium, but she also had like tech and stuff, so her legs could fucking sprout out and all that. She had claws coming out of her hands and fingertips. Yeah, it was disturbing.
We were talking about Yuriko, not Yukio. They're not the same character.
She is actually the same character.
Not according to their names. It's Yukio in the movie.
Is it Yukio?
Yukio.
Yukio in the movie, yeah.
Yeah, but modeled on the same character though.
Yeah.
I'll wiki you in our own chat. Yukio and Lady Deathstrike is Yuriko Oyama. I'm probably screwing that up.
No, it was close enough.
There we go. The more you know.
There's that little star going above my head right now. But so that was one of the main flaws that you saw was the bone claw switch. That you
Yeah,
just weren't a big fan of that.
That was my big thing. I don't. The thing is, him having bone claws and basically having the rest of his body as adamantium, that irks me a bit. I feel it doesn't work as much, and I did like the whole aspect of making him killable in this movie, so that his healing factor didn't. It took its fucking damn time to heal him when he was dying, and him wanting to die. It was a great little aspect to it. Great little snippet. The whole Silver Samurai trying to steal his healing factor, I didn't understand about that, but again, there is a logical explanation about it because they did use, I don't know if it was him or Sabretooth's healing factor when he was in the Weapon X program, and they gave that to Deadpool, so they did do a transfer there. So,
well, that makes me reminds me of one other point that I had completely forgotten about before. Yoshida wants to take the healing factor away, so he drills out the adamantium.
yeah.
Since when was adamantium the healing factor?
I think he just wants
no.
the adamantium, just because remember they said he's been stockpiling adamantium, so I just think
No, it wasn't that. That's actually kind of wrong. What he did is cut off the adamantium bone and then drilled into the bone that was inside the adamantium, so he could like suck the freaking healing factor out of his body. That needed a bit more explanation, I think. I think if they revealed their process a little bit more, it would have made a lot more sense. Instead, they just went a bit more gung-ho about it.
Yeah, because to me, I was like, well, if he's trying to get to, like, DNA, just get out of his fucking skin. He's right there.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So I was like, there has to be something else to this that I'm not seeing.
Maybe that was part of the mutant genome. I don't know. I don't know why they did that. That didn't make sense to me either. I felt that they could have explained it a lot more.
Because if you need his blood, all you got to do is shoot him, and he's got blood coming out. He doesn't like he's not like Superman where shit bounces off of him. So I was like, well, maybe there's something with the adamantium that I have never come across in the comics that I've read. Because you're saying it's up to the adamantium thing. The only reason I'm still alive is this adamantium suit. And I'm like, okay, metal is keeping you alive. Like,
What'd you get me? Oh.
Again, it didn't make much sense. I felt it didn't make much sense at all in terms of the way that they did it. As I said, they needed to explain the process a lot more. In terms of the way it was done in the Deadpool comics, they never explained their process there either. They just said that they used some of Wolverine's DNA to give... was it Wolverine or say one or the other, to give Wade Wilson the healing factor to jumpstart his body, and then it was fighting against the cancer. It also turned him a bit nuts though. So, but in a sense, I don't know. They need to explain themselves. It was good. I understood why this guy's obsession. It really worked, and I have to say as well, with a lot of Japanese actors that were in this movie, they really grasped their characters rather well in this. Because usually when you add a foreign actor into a film, when it comes to actually not doing a film that's in their language and doing a film in English, you don't tend to get that same characterization of them, the same the way that they invoke emotion and portray their characters as they do in their own language. But it was done really well. But yeah, no, I agree with you on that, Tony. I do totally agree with you on that. Hint, hint, director's cut when that comes out. They'll probably do that.
Maybe, I don't know. There is supposed to be a director's cut that actually is rated R. So, I mean, there has to be deleted scenes in that, obviously.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, it seems like there was a lot that could have been cut out for this movie just for time, in fact, because this was already 2 hours and 6 minutes, so there could have been some stuff that they explained a little bit more in depth that was just cut for time. Because, no one wants to be in a movie for 2.5, 3 hours.
I would.
I mean, well, I don't know about you guys. There was
don't.
a lot of trailers before this movie started.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. Bloody heck.
Yeah, there was.
I sat through about half an hour's worth of trailers before I got to this movie.
Yeah.
See, I'm the type of person that goes like well in advance before a movie, and I ran late on this one. So I got through where there was only 2 trailers beforehand. So I guess I skipped them all.
Yeah, you missed. I mean, there were some good ones.
I didn't see a whole lot of trailers. Did you, Sam?
I did.
Before Wolverine.
Yeah, they were a decent number.
I didn't think
I
so.
thought there were more trailers than movie at one point.
It seemed like a lot.
I'll tell you what had a lot of trailers in front of it was Turbo. I just watched that the other day. About 15, I think.
We're not going to go into Turbo and how that movie sucked, are we?
Nah, I thought it was kind of cute, but, we're talking about something completely opposite, so... Let's talk about the little snail instead of Wolverine killing people. And oh, by the way, yeah, that's something to talk about there. A lot of people died in this movie, which, thank God. I hate it when they just don't show him actually fucking stabbing somebody. Because that's something that bothers me in a lot of these different things. And it's something that always bothered me with Ninja Turtles. Where, unless you're doing that version of Ninja Turtles where the Foot Clan is a bunch of robots, which is a little bit weird, you've got this guy with swords, and he's just stabbing people left and right. Like, you have to kind of make it seem like more brutal when that's the actual brutality of it. So I loved how in this movie
He's just stabbing people in the heart.
he was stabbing people, and it was like, boom, they are dropping to the floor dead, because that's exactly how it should happen. There wasn't that crap where he was like slicing around them and they were just kind of like flipping and laying down and no blood anywhere and all that. Not to say that I wanted it to be Kill Bill bloody or anything like that, but they didn't tone it down to a ridiculous level.
Yeah.
So kudos.
Again, I think in a sense they made it to the point where he was going, because this movie is going to have ninjas coming out of the fucking anus. Of course he's going to be around killing people. There was Yakuza getting sliced up. You had people just... I would have loved to see a bit more limbs becoming loose from people's bodies. But, well, they basically got it into a 12A, so of course that's not going to happen. It was good for what it was. I loved the fight scenes, especially the one on the bullet train.
Yeah, I love that too. That was really, really well done.
And it was beautiful. I thought the fight scenes, the way it was done, and also the fact you notice they limited him a lot in this movie because they made him to the point where he was getting shot at, he was getting taken down. He had to use a lot more in terms of his sense than anything else, and it showed him getting slowed down and stuff as well. It was good. It was really, really good. I loved the fight scenes, and actually, in terms of the action, this movie had everything in terms of action.
I really like the bullet train scene too. It's very rare that they can do a scene in a movie that's action based that you haven't really. What was that?
All right, go ahead.
It's rare that you see an action scene in a movie where it's built around a premise that you don't really see all the time. I mean, how many times can you see a couple cars chasing each other and somebody hanging out of the car, or people in, like, if they would have even just been in a train and somebody trying to throw them out of a train? We've seen that a bunch of times. This, having a whole, jumping up and avoiding the signs and everything like that, and having the knives that are holding you onto the train and all that, I thought that was actually pretty cool.
I liked it, but there was one point at that scene I was like, all right, just get on with it already. It was cool, and I liked how he basically psyched him out to get him off of the bullet train. I thought that was funny, but there was one point where I'm like, all right, just find a way to kill him, because it did take a little too long for my liking.
I can see that.
But I did think it was pretty clever. I did like the bullet train scene for that aspect. It was a different, you haven't really seen that, and like I said, I liked whenever Logan was like, and just kind of like pretends to jump up, and the guy jumps up and just gets basically pelted. So I thought it was clever, but it was a little elongated.
What did you think about that, Brandon?
Yeah, I think they played that went a little too long with it. But yeah, I enjoyed this movie overall. So I really don't have much to say bad. I think I don't have much to say bad with it because Origins was such
It was so shitty.
terrible
We're not going to
movie.
talk about Origins.
Yeah, I think that's why my opinions of it is so high, is because Origins was so terrible. So I'm just like, oh, at least it wasn't Origins. At least there wasn't fucking Gambit twirling his staff around like a helicopter.
At least it wasn't that shit they called Deadpool in there. Fucking,
yeah, okay.
I almost had a stroke in the middle of the theater.
So did I.
Oh, don't get me wrong. My favorite part of the entire movie was Wade Wilson. Wade Wilson was so perfect. But Deadpool, I literally felt like a brain aneurysm forming.
Yeah.
It's so fucking awful. That movie could have been so great too.
I didn't mean to bring up the unmentionable, but and because we'll go off on fucking whole other tangents.
Yeah. Well, you said that there was nothing really on the negative side.
Yeah, I thought it really like they were too bogged down in villains. Like at one time, everyone's a villain. Like there's the Yakuza. There's Shingen himself was the bad guy. Then
everyone other than Yukio and Mariko.
Everyone other than Yukio, Mariko, and Wolverine was.
Well, there was at one point where they were trying to tease that Mariko was going to be the bad guy. If you remember when they had the scene with her in front of the samurai, and then Viper was telling her that it was her destiny to take over the clan, and
yeah,
there was a way that they were doing it, and I think I love the fact that they swerved everybody constantly in this movie. You couldn't pinpoint who the actual villain was, which was great. You had so many arseholes in this movie, but you never had one pinpoint.
I don't know. I kind of felt like it could have been the grandfather because, like, he just came up so unexpected. You had the whole Tokyo thing going on, and like all of a sudden, randomly, he just died. They don't really give him a lot of time on screen. He's dead, and then nothing else was really played on about him. So I'm like, they could have gone into a little more detail on why he just died. The next day there was a funeral, and then the Yakuza is there. It made me feel a little sketchy. I felt really weird about it. And then whenever he was in the samurai suit, I wasn't surprised whatsoever.
Let's talk about that a little bit. The idea of taking the Silver Samurai, which, as far as I know, in every incarnation of the comic books, it is somebody in like a normal adamantium suit. I don't remember it being more robotic. Has it been in other incarnations?
No, in any other thing I've been in, it's usually just been a normal guy in just super strong armor. But, ever since Iron Man, everything has kind of gotten upscaled in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I have no problem with it. Again, it wasn't Origins, so...
I had no issue with it either. To me, it kind of looked like Ed 209 from RoboCop.
I thought it...
Go on, Nikki.
Go ahead, Burhan.
Okay. It did seem like this big, overemphasized tank of a thing. I was expecting the whole freaking helmet to, like, end up peeling back and then just have the grandfather on a bloody screen or projected in 3D or some shit. That's what it looked to me, because it looked really clunky. But then when you actually see this little man inside this big thing, I couldn't help but laugh as well at the same time.
Well, the first thing that I was thinking was Terrence Howard was going to look at it and go, "Next time, baby."
I liked the suit, honestly. I thought it was kind of cool. The only part that made me feel that it was cheesy, honestly, was because of whatever the Viper bitches, whatever she was making it out to be so over dramatic, and it made me feel that way. It made me feel like, oh, this big adamantium suit, oh my god, it's gonna get you. And it was cheesy at first, up until when she died. When she had passed. After that, I was like, all right. I thought the battle between Logan and the Silver Samurai, I thought it was pretty cool. After that, I think that part made me feel mainly because of her.
I do think though that between the two I guess you could say between the two Silver Samurai fights, because when he fights Shinjin, I thought that one was actually a little bit better. What do you guys think?
I thought the Shingen fight was certainly a more choreographed number. So yeah, I'll agree. God damn it, what's the guy? I always forget the guy's name, and I love him as an actor. Hiroyuki Sanada is one of my favorite Japanese actors. Has been in a lot of good things. So yeah, I thought that was pretty good. But I did like how when Logan finally figured out how to use the sword, he said Japanese sword, use two hands. And he puts a second hand on it, and then it heats up. I thought that was kind of cool.
I like that a lot.
That was my favorite part of that fight scene.
Nice little foreshadowing.
As a fan of samurai swords, yes, Japanese swords use two hands.
They don't light up when you do it, though, right?
No, unfortunately, not yet. Someday, the swords will light up when I touch them.
What were you saying, Burhan?
I didn't have an issue with this. It just the one thing that was on my mind constantly about this was how can adamantium chop off adamantium?
It's heated adamantium.
It's still under sense. It was like, when he stabs Mariko's ex-boyfriend with the sword, and it's heated. The dude doesn't like slice up or anything. He just stands there.
Well, I think I thought he slides down it and it's kind of like eviscerating him. I thought that was kind of.
Yeah, but it's like heated, so it would have basically just dried the blood up, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I suppose.
That's me being a technical fuck.
Yeah, it's you being really sciencey.
I think that's them trying to avoid splitting a human down in half.
Yeah, that's so.
There goes our 12 rating.
Yeah, right. Going right for that hard R that he wanted.
I tell you what, though, that would have been fucking awesome if they would have as much as they had people getting stabbed in the throat and all that throughout the movie. If they would have just done that, it would have been like, what the hell? What? Holy shit, that's kind of going crazy. I'd have liked it though. Even better if they would have killed off Viper that way. Just get her the beginning of the movie, just slice her in half and be like, this character sucks, and move on to something else.
It does make me laugh because it's the whole sense with her as well. Where she ends up getting stabbed and then she peels her skin off, and then Yukio grabs her, ties her up with cables, and then hangs her. Okay, what was the point? What was the point of that?
I actually thought it was pretty cool. I mean, within 5 seconds, her neck was snapped, and I was like, all right, that was kind of awesome.
Yeah, but she's been stabbed with a sword, but has no blemishes in her body after peeling the skin off, but then gets her neck stabbed afterwards. It was like, you should have just killed her once. You didn't need to kill her twice.
Maybe she should have been a cat and they could have killed her 9 different times.
Yeah. Just go up to heaven with a punch card.
Well, Nikki, is there anything that was a glaring flaw in your mind?
Mainly just the Viper lady.
Any kind of one thing that we haven't talked about that was that was awesome?
That was awesome?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I thought we were talking about things we were still irked about. Things that were awesome. I think the moment whenever Mariko's father came in while Logan was sitting on the bed and he's trying to get that thing out of his heart, I just thought that whole thing was actually pretty badass, because imagine how much pain he's going through, and he in the corner in his peripheral, he knows that he could die either way. I thought it was kind of I don't know, it got me on edge.
Did you think that she was gonna die in that scene? Because I did.
That she was gonna die?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did. I knew Logan wasn't gonna die, obviously, but I honestly thought that she was gonna die. And also, whenever Mariko's father tries to kill Logan afterwards, and after he got the thing out and he got his definitive state back, and he's acting like this little cocky fucker trying to kill him, and then realizes he can heal again. Just the look of fierce terror fell across his face, and it gave me such joy.
What did you two guys think about that? Did you think that Yukio was going to die in that scene?
No, I knew the
No.
character was going to stick around.
All right, well then it was just the two of us that were like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe she's going to die.
No, I kind of
No.
figured she was going to stick around.
I was actually waiting for Mariko to die, but that wasn't going to
Yeah, I thought if anyone was going to die, it was definitely going to be her, but I was not anticipating her death at all. And I would have been sad had she died because I thought she did a very good job. What's her name? Fukushima. Fukushima. Like the nuclear reactor.
That would
Rilla.
explain the hair.
Rilla Fukushima. I mean, don't know what else she is in, but definitely I will go watch it.
Well, there's one big thing that we talked a little bit about, but we haven't completely blown it out there, and that's the post-credit sequence.
Which was awesome.
Yes.
Fucking, yeah, just, that was... If you tell somebody there's a post-credit sequence of somebody in an airport talking to somebody, well,
They're gonna be like-
that doesn't sound that great in a movie that's got people with metal claws and, you know, jumping around and ninjas and all that other kind of stuff. It would be like, what? But that was maybe my favorite scene of the whole thing.
It definitely ranks as far as all time, Marvel post-credit scenes. Just because it has, Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen in it. So, yeah, it was great. I knew it was coming, and I still was on the edge of my seat. Actually, I thought there was something else, too. I thought there was something else after it. Like, I thought there was, I stupidly stayed to the end of the credits.
So did I.
Yeah, it's like, oh, maybe there's more. Oh, no, there's not. No shawarma? No shawarma.
There is one thing about that scene, though, that I was just, like, laughing my ass off. The speed at which Professor X goes in between and weaves in and out of the traffic and the people. That was ridiculous.
He's gotten quite skilled handling that wheelchair.
I was expecting him to start doing, like, flips and trick things and stuff.
4 movies. He's had 4 movies to figure out how to use that wheelchair properly, and damn it, he's finally figured it out.
Do you know what actually made me laugh from that scene? Where he goes to Wolverine, from that scene in general where Xavier comes in, he goes, you're not the only one with special abilities, I think is what he said. I was expecting him to jump out of his chair and go, check this shit out, and start doing Lord of the Dance or some shit.
Like the Charleston or something like that?
Yeah, because it was just, the way he just came in is like, you're not the only one with special abilities. Check out this shit with his legs, just start flailing them about or something. Because
starts doing putting on the Ritz.
Yeah,
put on the Ritz.
It's just the way that he was coming out, like presenting himself in it as well. It was hilarious. I like the end scene. I thought was awesome. I marked out, and it was great. Loved it.
Well, I was expecting when he was weaving in and out that we were going to pan over and it was going to be that Magneto was doing it. He was just like fucking around.
He was just pulling him.
Exactly.
Eric, stop that. Eric, please. Eric, please stop doing that.
Eric, we have something important to do. Stop fucking around with me. You already killed me.
Eric, there's time at stake here. We have to go into the days of future past.
Oh, you naughty bitch.
Go. I don't know why he turned into a Sean Connery all of a sudden.
That's going to be what happens. They go back in the past, change the future, and then he turns into Sean Connery.
Turned into Sean. I don't know what to tell you, Logan. Gene, don't. I don't know. I don't know any famous X-Men dialogue. It's not like Batman that they don't have.
James Bub.
James, Mr. Howlett, what are you doing?
I was actually doing Magneto, but thanks for that.
Call me Magneto.
What's up?
Sean Magneto Connery.
Yes, I've never heard of a magnet before. It's a magnet. Fucking netto. You dunce.
So I'm really excited about Days of Future Past now. I keep actually getting more and more excited when I keep finding more and more out about the movie. I mean, when I first heard that they were going to do a sequel that wasn't actually going to include a lot of the cast members, I was just like, "No, don't tell me we're going to introduce 20 new fucking X-Men characters and they're all going to be stupid, like Boom Boom and Sunspot and
All the
that."
B level and C level X-Men.
Yeah, Rock Slide, I think fucking name. Like, you're gonna have that, and you're gonna have like a couple people that people would recognize. Like, maybe you would throw Forge in there, which I like Forge.
That would make some people happy. Okay,
Yeah,
that would make 12 people that recognize Forge. I mean, that's not. I'm sorry. People are going to be rushing out in masses to go see a movie with Forge in it. I'm sorry.
But
Like, it's the same thing with an X-Force movie. Like, I think the X-Force is popular, but the X-Force is not going to do Avengers business unless this movie's like the second coming of the Avengers, I guess.
Yeah, but you can't build a you can't build a movie around the fact that they're gonna have like Cypher.
Yeah, exactly.
So I thought they were gonna do that, but then they kept announcing, "Oh, but we're gonna do Days of Future Past," and it's like, "Oh, okay, well now we're gonna include other people, and then we're gonna include Wolverine going back in time, and we've got Boulevard Trask, even though he's played by Peter Dinklage, which is a little bit odd." So you got the smallest guy with the Sentinels.
Trask. They really shrink the dude that was behind the Sentinels.
Yes, but you know what though? Peter fucking Dinklage is going to play it, so Dink's gonna knock that shit out of the park.
I know, it's just the thing is,
have no doubt in your mind, dude. I'm telling you.
The thing is, I think they're going a bit too far with the characters.
You're going too far with the characters.
Well, I think that they should have kept him and had him be MODOK. I swear to God.
That would have been a lot better. Yeah, that would have been a lot better.
But I think the reason that they went with that, and I hope that they don't do this because it's so stupid, and I'm joking about it. That's the thing, is I'm joking. Is that they're going to make it that this little person built the Sentinels to kind of like get rid of his Napoleon complex.
It could be.
I could see that happen.
That's certainly taking a very low road in their writing, but have no fear, the performance will be on point.
I think you were going to say Underdog was here.
Yeah, no. I was going to say, have no fear or doubt in Peter Dinklage's ability to act. I mean...
It's not that, it's just like, for instance, people kicked up a shit fit about Mary Jane. Yeah. For instance.
I would have too if Peter Dinklage was playing her.
Stupid.
No, it's because they cast like the un-Mary Jane-esque girl as Mary Jane, basically. Then they take Trask, a dude who's hated mutants. He's supposed to be this big, boorish, rather intelligent, but also rather what can I say? Rather militant-minded individual, and then they put Peter Dinklage as him. I haven't got an issue with it as much, but I'm surprised that comic book geeks haven't gone fucking apeshit over this.
Oh, I think if Peter Dinklage wasn't Tyrion Lannister in Game of Thrones, wasn't Tyrion Lannister in Game of Thrones, there would be people wouldn't know who the hell he is. So there probably would have been some portion of the population, the nerd population, up in arms over it. But because he's in something that they already like, they're gonna cut him some slack.
Well, everybody's going to complain about everything. I mean, look at what happened with Heimdall. But he's black. Like, who fucking cares?
No,
Heimdall.
I didn't have an issue with that because he's not that much of a well-known character. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And the same with Trask, though. I mean, to an extent, like.
No.
No, see, I would say if you change Trask, I'm okay with it. If you change Magneto, then okay. You know what I mean? You could even make. I was joking earlier about Cypher. You can even make Cypher something completely different than what he usually is, as long as he is able to do the whole language thing, then it's just fucking Cypher. I don't care if, like, I didn't care when they had Boulevard Trask in X-Men 3 played by Bill Duke, even though Boulevard Trask isn't black. Like,
No.
you know, so having Peter Dinklage being a little person, oh well, you know what? Screw it. I don't care.
No, it's not that. It's the again, as I said, it's one of those things. He's a main villain, you know. Even a part of the whole X-Men angle that they had at them, you know, that they had with Hope, and he was even in that, and he ended up like turning people into cybernetic sentinels and doing loads of shit that was going on there. And they even used the character as a supporting character in the last 2 X-Men movies, I believe. He was somewhere around anyway. Using Peter Dinklage, it's more the fact that because he was so good in Game of Thrones, they're throwing him at the first character they can find him, which could backfire. Do you know what I mean? And I really hope that doesn't happen.
What do you think, Nikki?
You guys were glitching out, so I was just gonna wait until you guys were done. What's the question?
Peter Dinklage as Boulevard Trask and your excitement for Days of Future Past.
I'm very excited for Days of Future Past, and I'm very indifferent about whatever his freaking name is. I don't know a whole lot of information on that particular character, so I can't really have an informative opinion. But Days of Future Past, I don't look at news about it solely because I know for a fact my boyfriend will, and he will tell me. And everything I've heard that he has told me about, I mean, I'm all for it. I'm very excited about it. So, I mean, and I know for a fact he is. So, I mean, I'm happy that it's coming out. I'm really excited. I can't wait to see it. So.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, that kind of covers every topic that I wanted to talk about. Is there anything else Wolverine related that either of you three were interested in discussing?
I'd like to see maybe more good Wolverine games. I thought the game for Origins was certainly better than the movie. Yeah, again, not really saying much about the movie. Movie, piece of shit. But I still.
I don't know, because there are very few and far between. There are like very few video games derived from comic books that I have been a fan of. Minus the whole Lego series, we have to exclude that. But I mean, out of all the Spider-Man games, I think there's like maybe 2 that I like.
I don't know, but I think if they continue to make them the like God of War but style games, like God of War but doused in Wolverine juice, and you get Hugh Jackman to lend his voice to it,
maybe
it'll sell. It'll make your money back.
But didn't the Origins game have a different premise from the movie?
It was kind of slightly different. You were kind of like not portraying the movie. You were going along with events, basically playing the events that you didn't see in the movie, and then you, for some reason, fight Deadpool at the end, which is I didn't make it, but I heard it was one of the more aggravating boss fights of the year.
Well, because of their direction of the character or the actual...
Because of the character, because they can make him like teleport and all this other shit, and it's just mad. Ridiculous. Ridiculousness. But no, I have no complaints with the movie. Again, it was good. I did not feel like I wasted my $11. And in my time, I was lucky to go see it at like 11:30 on a Friday, so there was like 4 other people in the movie theater with me.
Not many people that I saw it either. I saw it at 11 o'clock at night, and maybe 3 rows full of people were filled, and that was about it. Like,
wow, really?
Mm-hmm.
That's the only theater playing it?
No, because I went to the Deptford 8. It was the same here. It was basically spur of the moment. Hey, let's go to the movies. It was 11 o'clock showing, and there were like maybe like 10 people in there.
That must be. I mean, people must have been really not amped about it because, again, that was such a shitty movie.
Well, it did
Um,
have that going against it. That Origins was so bad. I mean, it wasn't Ghost Rider too bad, but it was still pretty awful.
It was still did major damage to the, Wolverine brand, I guess you could say.
but overall, I gave the movie an 8 out of 10. Wolverine. Solely because there were a couple things that bothered me, mainly things that I've already discussed. But overall, I was very satisfied with the movie, and I give it a solid 8.
What do you think, Burhan?
I agree with Nikki. I give it an 8 out of 10. I would have given it a 9. There were some issues, but it wasn't enough to bother me. It wasn't like Iron Man 3, where a lot of stuff really annoyed me as a comic book fan. This movie, I felt, as a comic book fan and as a movie geek, held me together rather well. And it was so funny, actually, that the one person, my brother, went with me, and he's a big asshole when it comes to movies. Just like, now, I know you talk in these movies, I know you like to talk about what holds the movie together and how well it works and blah, blah, blah. Shut your fucking face. We're sitting there watching the movie and he starts talking and going on about the characters and everything, and he was really immersed in this film. And I've never seen someone hold his attention as much. And I felt it was a testament to what this film did. It was very well directed. The writing was there. You could tell how the characters were built up. The acting held everything together. And yes, you had a few bad eggs, but it weren't enough to ruin the movie.
Ranking scale, what do you think, Brandon?
Oh, I guess if everyone's going 8 out of 10, I'll go 8 out of 10. I would maybe, yeah, it's a reluctant 8 just to make the math simple. I guess I had no problem with it. Again, better than fucking Origins. I don't feel like it ripped anything from my childhood, as the saying goes. So yeah, just very solid movie. Good Japanese cast. Everyone did their job well. It was funny. Hugh Jackman definitely has the comedic aspect of the character finely tuned. I would recommend it to anybody who likes Marvel movies. If you are unsure about this movie, go see it and make up your mind. You will not be disappointed.
Yeah, I think the the trailers that I saw for it did not give it justice, because we've seen the commercials multiple times, and Sam and I just kind of look at each other and are like, eh. And then finally, I know Burhan told me how good it was. Tuck told me how good it was, and so I'm like, all right, Sam, you want to give it a shot?
She mostly went on my
I
guess saying,
trusted opinions from people with similar interests, because that trailer did not give it justice whatsoever. I was not interested in seeing it whatsoever until about 2 days ago.
That's actually a good way to kind of end that off, because if you guys are interested in the same kind of stuff as we are, obviously with Fanboys Anonymous, then all 4 of us are going to recommend it. I thought that I'm not necessarily going to give it an anything out of a 10 scale, because I didn't really think about that ahead of time, but if you're going to go for like a hit or a miss, definitely a hit. It wasn't as good as the first Iron Man film or Batman Begins as far as comic book movies go, but it's one of those solid movies that, yeah, it's not going to win an Oscar, but it was fun and it was entertaining. And I've watched several different movies over the past month, and some of them were huge disappointments, and some of them were in the middle, and some of them were surprisingly good. I mean, I was so fucking annoyed with The Lone Ranger because it was garbage.
I
knew
heard how
that film
bad
was
it
going to
was.
be garbage.
Absolute garbage. I would tell everybody in the world, do not bother seeing that piece of shit.
The best thing about that movie is in the freaking trailers. That's it. You get some comedy moments, but the film looks like it drags.
It's
no
terrible.
offense, but yeah, you wouldn't go and see those movies. It's, I don't know, I think with this particularly, it allowed the character to become who he's supposed to be in the comics.
Yeah, and I think that if you look at a movie like The Lone Ranger, which is supposed to be this like tentpole film that they wanted to build a franchise around, and it was horrible. And then you look at a movie like this, which this is kind of just bridging the gap until Days of Future Past, and that's really the one that they're gonna hone in on.
Hopefully. And again, I'm going to be very skeptical about this movie. Hopefully. Bryan Singer's directing it. I don't like Bryan Singer. I think he raped my childhood more than once. In terms of everything this guy has done since Superman Returns has turned to shit. So we really need to be treading on eggshells. And no one go on about, X-Men First Class. He never directed that. He was executive producer.
Mm-hmm.
Someone competent directed that. Just saying.
I would say out of the movies that I know are out right now, one of them that you should go see is Wolverine. The other one's White House Down, but you can check out the review on fanboysanonymous.com for that. Very similar in the sense that they're both fun, entertaining movies, and if you are interested in that type of a thing, whether you're a comic book movie fan or just an action movie fan, definitely go see Wolverine because it was very entertaining. I'm all out when it comes to all that other kind of stuff. I think everybody else is, so the only thing left to do is to go around and talk some plugs, what articles you guys are doing on fanboysanonymous.com recently, and so on and so forth. So, Brandon.
I'm not doing any articles on Fanboys Anonymous because I'm not that great of a writer. But I do podcasts on Fanboys Anonymous when my time allows me to. I also host radio shows such as Sportaholics Anonymous on Wednesdays on blogtalkradio.com/DreamElite, and not one, but two shows on...
Oh
my, on the Mega Powers Radio. Or can we do it as a technically, or did Payton make up his mind yet? Are we keeping kayfabe to Mega Powers Radio?
I believe we're getting sound bites on there now, so I believe he probably is. That is a possibility.
They've always been on there since we recorded that one episode, so... I don't want to make official announcements before they're happening, but Geek Speak on Tuesdays, Keeping Kayfabe on Thursdays. Like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter.
Out of Brandon All Hope.
Out of Brandon All Hope. Apparently nothing, whatever. Fucking just type my name. Yeah, man. You know, like stuff. Be kind to yourself and each other.
Get your pet spayed and neutered.
Get your pet spayed and neutered. I don't know. Any other cliches and parodies I could say.
Nikki, anything in the works?
Question, has anyone done an article for the Wolverine movie yet? Because I was going to, but I'm pretty sure someone's already jumped on it.
I did a quick review point.
Well, you know what, Tony? I'll think of something. I have a couple of things in mind, and I'll definitely let you know. The Wolverine was going to be my first one, but I automatically assumed that someone else is going to get to it ahead of me. But with articles, I'll keep you posted. I just recently joined I Got Gameplay, thanks to Burhan. And I plan on popping in and out of the Daceman show. So, I mean, you can always, you know what? You can always find me on those two podcasts. None of the wrestling ones, because I only know wrestlers from, like, the early 90s, courtesy of my father.
Well, I mean, that's not a bad thing.
I don't know. Sam, the cat, is in the closet. If you want, follow me on Twitter. It's _N Mills. And, of course, you can always look up my articles on fanboysanonymous.com and Tumblr, voteforsatan.tumblr.com.
That is the best Tumblr name ever.
So, if you want to follow me on any of those things, feel free.
And last but not least, Burhan.
Yes, of course. As always, guys, you can follow me on www.nerdgenius.com to see loads of articles and stuff that I do. I'm currently doing movie files, 100 movies in 100 days on my Nerd Genius YouTube channel. And you can also catch me on 8 p.m. at Mega Powers Radio for I Got Gameplay, This week's episode, this past week, we did Capcom, and it was a fun-filled episode that had a slew of hosts. I enjoyed it immensely and want to do it again. So next week, we're going to be doing Animal Crossing. Yes, we're going to have a game that really locks people in and makes them pass their lifetimes so abruptly that they have no idea what the hell's going on. So we're going to be checking that game out, and we're going to have a huge panel hopefully this week again, including, of course, Nikki, who's going to be walking us through the game step by step and explaining to us why this thing is so popular. So you guys check that out. Check out everything else that I've been doing. You can follow me on Twitter at Michael Burhan, or at I Got Gameplay, and also you can follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/nerdgenius, or facebook.com/I Got Gameplay. So do that, people. Don't worry about Tony's other stuff. Just make sure you just follow me, because I'm awesome.
And if you're interested in everything else underneath a mango tree, of course, there's smarkoutmoment.com for everything wrestling related, outonlimbs.com for if you want to see my views on the world and me bitching and complaining and harsh opinions about social commentary and everything going along, that kind of a fine line. And really driving home the point, fanboysanonymous.com. If you are the type of person who is not necessarily into comic books and this episode was not for you, we have more than enough that will end up piquing your interest. I mean, there's not only the comic books, but there's the movies in general, video games, television, cosplay, technology, cyber culture, the whole fanboy aspect of the internet, music, celebrity news, collectibles, tabletop games, the arts, and whatever random crap we can throw under miscellaneous. I think the only thing under there right now is actually about Wolverine, with Tuck reviewing the Berserker burger from Red Robin. So there's more than enough on fanboysanonymous.com that you guys would love. So check that website out. If you're interested in becoming a writer, send a message through the contact form, and we will try to hook you up with that. We will be having episode 10 next month, but I do not know what topic we are going to do. So if you have any suggestions, leave something in the comments below, or send something on the website itself. Comment on either this page or somebody else's page. We'll get to it eventually.
I have a suggestion.
I have a suggestion too.
Two possible options. What are your suggestions?
Is basically, can you really become rich by being a nerd? We can use all the examples, including Apple and Microsoft and all that bullshit.
What was yours, Brandon?
We could do Summer Movie Review 2013, because if we do it at the end of August, we will technically that'll be the end of the summer movie season, so we can, discern what was the best, the worst, what did everybody miss.
Two possible options here. You never know if something's going to come along that way. I know it's not going to be a podcast about Kick-Ass, because there's not a whole lot going into that.
But apart from the fact that it kicked ass.
I was going to make the same exact joke.
But stay tuned, because I'm sure I will have an actual review up about Kick-Ass, because that's the next movie that I do plan on seeing. So you can check out the review point for that. Everything else coming along your way at fanboysanonymous.com. And that should do us in. This meeting should be adjourned. Thank you to everybody doing the show. Thank you to everybody who listened. We will see you next month.